welcome everyone to my first virtual Stampin' Up! Workshop. I'd like to say that it's been a long time coming. I'm really glad that Stampin' Up! Has found a way to do a Hostess Code, which I'll explain a little bit later in part 2 of this video, on why we're able to take online orders for people through a virtual workshop. So to introduce myself to you, my name is Darlene Platinsky, and I have been involved with Stampin' Up! Since around 2002. And it's kind of a fun story. I'm going to share this little stamp set with you. My daughter and I were starting to get interested in stamping way back when, and we decided, oh, let's get on the internet, look around, see if we can find some companies that sell stamps. Little did I know that they've been around for a very, very long time. But I found this wonderful stamp set, and it was about middle of summer, and I thought, well, I'd love to make some Christmas cards, see if my friends enjoyed the Christmas cards that I would make. So I found this stamp set, thought it was really cute, but didn't have a demonstrator, just was talking with my daughter, thought it would be fun to buy these, and then it kind of went by the wayside, and I never did anything with it. And surprisingly enough, my birthday is in October, and she had gone, without me knowing, went and found a demonstrator online, ordered the stamp set, demonstrator came to her home and delivered it. She wrapped it up and gave it to me for my birthday present. And it was really, really a cute thing to have. I was so excited. And many, many stamp sets later, I decided, you know, this is silly. I need to become a demonstrator so that I can get a little discount on my profits, or excuse me, get a little discount on my products and make a little profit also. So that's kind of how I got started. Thought I would share that story with you. I'll set this aside, and I just wanted to let you know, today I'm going to show you on the first part of the video, I'm going to share a project with you. And I'm going to use the stamp set that's in our spring catalog, and it's called Oh Hello. And I have it right here. And I'm going to use the clear mount. They come in wood mount and clear mount. The wood mount is exactly like what I had gotten from my daughter. And the clear mount it comes in a CD case. And it has the stamps this way. They're still the rubber stamps, but you mount them on a clear mount block, which I'll show you in just a moment. And you can see the images from the back side, which I really like about that. Alright, I'm going to make a regular A2 size card for you. And I'm going to start out with something real simple and basic, but it's always great to have basics. I am going to use a Whisper White cardstock, and it comes in a package of 40 sheets. It's 80 pound, and it's wonderful. I would start out with white anytime. It's a very soft, smooth cardstock, and it gets great images. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to use my tabletop cutter, which I tend to use more than the other trimmer. I think probably because I like to be able to push down and hold my paper, and then when I lower the handle, I know that it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to cut this on the 11-inch side, I'm going to cut this at 5.5 inches, so it would be exactly in half. And with this cutter, like I said, I could put my finger on the tabs here and my thumb farther down, which is a little bit, I'm sure, out of focus for you. Let me move it up. Right here, and then I just lower the lever. And it cuts so clean and so neat, and you get two beautiful pieces of cardstock. One other little piece that this has that I love is this stores an additional extension that snaps in with a little lever here, and then you can put a 12-inch piece of paper in here and cut it down that way. So that works really great for larger pieces of papers, cardstock. I even cut chipboard with this, and the reason I use it more than anything is because it's pretty heavy duty and it's not dangerous. This is a safety blade, and so I feel a little bit more comfortable with this one than some of the other cutters that are out there. So let me set this aside, and I'm going to get the Simply Scored board, because I want to take one of my pieces. So you get two cards out of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I'm going to take one of my pieces, and I'm going to score at 4 1/4. So I'm going to take the scoring tool, and it has little markers that come with this scoreboard. and I love it a lot. So I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. Now, just to share with you for a moment, there's 2 size tips on this scoring tool. There's a larger ball here and a little bit smaller one. I find that if I'm using a heavier cardstock, I'll use the smaller ball so that it won't poke through. If you have a thinner, like a designer series paper or something even thinner, some other brands of paper, if you use a larger one, then it won't poke through. So just a little tip there. And I love how it stores right in the bottom of the scoreboard. So this is the Simply Scored. It also comes with a couple of additional plates that you can add on, which I like to show in some of my workshops. This one is a diagonal plate, and you can do many things. You can make envelopes with this. It comes with some great instructions. You would run your lines this way. You can make patterns this way on regular cardstock. And I pop my little marker off here. If you just pull this back, your markers store inside. So that's a great tip. And also there's a new little plate that goes here that we really love as demonstrators. You can get a lot of patterns with this, and it coordinates with a lot of different things. So I thought I would just share that with you also. Now that it's scored, we're just going to fold it in half. It folds nice and easy, and I use my bone folder to make a nice crease. And when I stamp, I'm going to open it back up so it's nice and flat. When you have the clear mount set, and you're not sure, so you have a couple of clear mount blocks and you're not really sure what size you need, you can just hold that block up over your image, or you can even flip it over and hold it over the stamp, and you can tell that that's going to work perfect for that. Well, I'm going to use the flower today, so I'm going to use this size. It will fit on there just perfectly. And to mount your stamp, all you do is turn it so that the rubber side is down, and take your block, center it, and hold down and press for just a few moments, and it will come and stick right on, and it does not come off. These stamps have a nice foam with a nice rubber, shows your images really well. There's also a microfiber cleaning cloth that comes with this as a separate purchase, and I did buy it because I was finding that sometimes these weren't sticking as well, and a lot of the demonstrators were saying, well, why aren't these sticking? And we found out that because of the oils on our hands, just the inks and everything. So if you take a microfiber cloth and wipe it off, it will stick much better. I've also found if I wipe the inside back of the CD case, they will stick. If you start having trouble, they'll stick much better. So, mounting it again. Now I'm going to think what I'm going to do. I've also mounted my Thanks So Much image. And I'm going to put the Thanks So Much around here, and I'm going to put a flower about there. So what I like too about any of the text stamps, I can never get them straight. Some people can do it with no problem. I have a big problem. I think I overthink it. So I did purchase the additional guides that can go on the top. They're repositionable. And they are on page 7 of the large idea book and catalog. And these are very helpful for me. So when I'm taking my stamp and mounting it on this block, I will take the lowest part of my text image and I'll line it up with one of the lines. And then I know that stamp's perfectly straight. And then I just take one of the edges here, that would be a vertical line, and I know that if I line that up with, for example, my cardstock, because I want to stamp to the edge, I know that's going to be perfectly straight on my card. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to use the Island Indigo ink, and if you're new to the Stampin' Up! Pads, they're not as difficult as they look to open. There is instructions on the back, but I'll just show you. There's 3 dots here and a little ridge. And that ridge is where you put your finger, and the dots are where you put your thumb. You hold it with your other hand, whatever way works the best. I tend to hold it like this, but you're basically hooking your finger, your index finger under here and your thumb here, and you're just pushing. And it will pop up. Then you just pull it forward and slide and snap. And that's the best way that I can tell you works for me to open that. And so I'm just going to ink this up. And as I said, I'm going to line up this line perpendicular with the, or even with the card edge on the right side. And just straight down and press. And it's perfect. You can't go wrong if you use those guides. So we're done with that. I'm also going to show you an idea where you can do two-tone image. I'm going to use the Summer Starfruit, and I'm going to show you how to use the Stampin' Right markers along with an actual ink pad. Now what I could do is stamp this whole image on and then use the ink from the Stampin' Right marker, but I'm going to even go off the edge a little bit because what I want to do is just have the Summer Starfruit at the bottom. This does look like a yellow, but it goes really well with the designer paper that I'm using. So it really is like a greenish yellow. And so I'm going to kind of stamp most of this part of the stem onto the ink pad. And you can see that I got a little bit of the Summer Starfruit onto the flower image. And that's the part that I want orange. But if you're using a lighter color first, then you can use a darker color ink and it will not get into your marker and cause a problem with the colors bleeding. And then I'm going to take the Stampin' Right marker. This is the larger brush tip. There's also a small, more detailed tip. I'm going to take the brush tip and I'm just going to start and I'm going to color that flower in. And these colors will blend and it'll be beautiful when it's done. And your marker will not have any of that extra Summer Starfruit ink on it. It'll just go away as long as it is the lighter ink. If it's a darker ink, you would want to wipe that off. I'll put this back over here, and then I'm just going to stamp it here somewhere. And there you go. Alrighty, before I continue on, I wanted to clean my stamps, and I just want to show you the Stampin' Scrub. I love it. It is the best way to get my stamps clean. Some people don't even clean their stamps, and there's talk whether you need to or not. I'm kind of a clean freak, so I do love it. So it's real easy. You just open it up. It's got a nice, like a brushy type of fabric here. One side has some raindrops on it, means it's the wet side, and then an umbrella with the raindrops, which means it's for drying. And you take some Stampin' Mist, and you just spritz it on. You don't need much. And you take those stamps and lightly, I go in a circle, the wet side, and then dry them on the dry side. And you'll see that it really does get them nice and clean. And then I take them off from my clear mount and I put them back into my CD holder. Same with the flower. Nice and clean. So I wanted to show that to you so that you can see if you are interested in any kind of stamp cleaner. That works wonderful for our stamps, and also, of course, for the wood mounts too. Both kinds. Alright, so there's the card that we stopped with, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little strip of designer series paper at the bottom just to make it look a little more finished, just so it's not so plain. You can leave it the way it is, but I'm going to add a little strip on the bottom. The best way to do this, personally, I use an ATG gun or snail adhesive. But right now, because I'm out of snail, I'm going to use the two-way glue pen, which is still a really good way of using it, or you can even use the Stampin' Up! Glue stick. So there's a lot of different adhesives that you can use. The two-way glue pen I like because if you put it on and adhere immediately, it's permanent, but if you put it on something and let it dry, it is repositionable. So I'm going to run this on. I've cut this a little larger, as you can tell. And I think I'm going to place it right about here. And let it hang over, because I like my edges perfect. And no matter what you do, if you cut it to that 5.5-inch length, sometimes it'll be short. I don't know how it works, but it happens to me every time. So I like to then snip it off once it's adhered on. Alright, now all I'm going to do is add a little bit of Dazzling Diamonds glitter on that flower. Same two-way glue pen. I just put a little, use the edges. I pivot it down. I like how it has the different angles. I also wanted to mention, let me get my piece of scrap paper here for a second. If you're ordering this and it's brand new, to prime it, you'll want to push down on it a couple times until the glue starts to come out, and then you're ready to go, and you don't usually have to prime it again. Let me go back over this just in case it started to dry. And I have some Dazzling Diamonds glitter. I put mine in a Tupperware container because I use it a lot. I just sprinkle it on. Brush it off. The two-way glue pen just gives you enough to adhere a small amount of glitter on there, and I just think it's enough to make it sparkle and look very elegant, but it's not overly glittery. So there's one card. Nice and simple. You can do this, promise you. Now we're going to step it up a teeny bit, and I'm going to make a card where I'm going to layer a little bit more. So I've gone ahead and I've already done another image, same as I just showed you, and I'm going to put a little bit more on the bottom, not just the plain strip, and I'm also going to layer this onto a card that I cut out of the Summer Starfruit cardstock. So what I'm going to do is show you how you can make a really cool border edge by using a punch. Now, this punch happens to be in the celebration, which is going on right now until March 22nd. And if you order $50 worth of product, you can choose one item for every $50 that you spend. So when I purchased my items, I bought this punch, and I love it. It can be used with the stamp set here, but you can also make borders out of it. And I wanted to show you how I do that. So I cut a piece of cardstock, and by the way, I'll have all the measurements on the video here, so don't worry about taking notes. And what I do is I turn my punch upside down and just feed it in a little bit of the way, because all I want is just to take that little edge off. So I punch, move it over, punch again, move it over, and continue on. Just try to keep it horizontal. If you're off a little bit, it's not going to show. And it's all very user-friendly, so just relax and have fun with it. We're going to continue all the way down this one side only. And when you get to the edge, it's kind of hard, so just flip it over and go the opposite way. I'm just lining up the left edge with the punched part that already was removed. And of course I cut this longer again, like I mentioned before, because what I want to do is, put this across the whole bottom, and I'll do that again with the two-way glue pen. You can also use Tombow Multi. Now see, mine is starting to get a little bit dry, so I did prime it again. I'll show you the Tombow Multi on the next strip. And then I like to make sure my patterns match on each side. Oops. So as you can see, I tried to make them close to the same on each side. So press that down, then I turn it over again and trim it off. And then I'm going to do another strip of Designer Series paper right here. So I'll use the Tombow Multi on this. I could have used the Tombow Multi on the large one also. There's two size ends for this. So that large side would have been great for that. Just trying to show you a few different adhesives so that you can see what might work the best for you. I'm going to center this from the top to the bottom. Trim it off. What I want to do is I'm going to raise this up just a little bit off the card. So I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. I think these honestly are probably my most favorite product from Stampin' Up. Use them all the time. They're little foam dimensionals that you can put on anything to pop it off the back. So I'm going to put a total of 5. I like to put them on each corner on a card, and then I'll put one in the middle. And then they have a little backing, and just peel it off. And then we're going to center this. And I'm working off to the side here, so hopefully I get it straight. Pretty close. And that'll give you a little dimension where you can tell that it's popping off the card instead of a flat look. So there's the first one we did, and here's the second one. Same stamp, same image, same place that we stamped it. And so let's try one more, and we'll step it up just a little bit more. We'll make this one super fancy for somebody that likes a little bit of additional bling on their card. So I'm going to use the Island Indigo cardstock, cut the same way, scored the same way. I'm going to use the Summer Starfruit background for a mat, and I'm going to attach this stamped image mat on top of this. I'm going to use my ATG gun for this. Normally I would use my snail adhesive. Same idea though. I like to make sure that I have enough adhesive on all my cards. I don't want my projects to fall apart, especially if you're putting them in the mail. You want everything to stay nice and neat. It does reflect on you. So I'm going to put that on so that it's got the equal amount all the way around the edges for the mat of that image. And now I already did the same thing as I showed you before, but I made it smaller. So this is about 3 inches long. Same idea as what we had before. I'm going to take another piece of designer series paper and I'm going to put this across this whole mat. And I'm going to use the ATG gun for that. I'm going to leave a little bit at the bottom. To trim. And now what I want to do is take the same size piece of paper that I had before, but I want it to go right here and hang off the edge. And I want it to look like a little flag, so I'm just going to take my paper snips and from this corner into the center and from this corner into the center, I'm just going to make a small little V cut. I love these scissors because you can get right into a nice sharp point. Use these all the time. Now I'll use my two-way glue pen again. And I'm going to let this hang over just a little bit. And line it up. And I think what I'll do is pull it down. Like I said, I like to have a little overlap. Press it down. And then I'll trim so that that's all straight on the edge. And then I'm going to put it right here. And that gives you an additional, actually I think I'll move it down. We'll move it down to about right here. I want that edge to show. I curl these up with my fingers just to give a little dimension. You can also use your bone folder. Curl these up just a little bit. But I think we'll place that right here. Maybe we should go down even more. It's always so fun to design. Okay, I've decided after looking at this a little longer that I would prefer to have this down here, but I want my edges all to match. I don't like this paper coming over this far. I want the mat to be all the way around. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to use my craft knife and a ruler. And I'm just going to trim it off. Now I'm not going to push really hard because I don't want to go all the way through to my cardstock. So you can trim after you put something on if you're real careful, if you don't like how that looks. So I thought I would show you how you can fix something that doesn't always work out the way you thought it would. Now I'm going to match the other side, but I think this looks a little bit more uniform. It's not so busy. And that's what I want, is a nice, neat look, but something that looks layered. So I'll finish up the other side and I'll embellish. I'll be back in just... Alright, I like that much better. I like to have that mat around both sides. So now I'm going to add some of the pearl, basic pearl jewels. The easiest way I've found is to take my paper snips and just slide my scissors underneath a pearl that I want to put on. And it almost just balances really nicely. And I'm going to set it. I'm going to do 3 of them right in those little polka dots that are on that designer series paper. Draws your eye to that little piece. So we're almost done. I'm going to put my dimensionals again on the back of this so it sticks up a little. And there you have another look for the same idea. A few pearls here. This is curled up a little bit for some dimension. Now if you've noticed, I did not put the glitter on here. I was thinking you could, but I was also thinking I love this flower trim that's in the new spring catalog. And yes, you can use it to put as a strip along the bottom of something, but you can always also trim these apart. And you can ink them, you can put glitter on the top. So I decided I'm going to trim it apart. So I snipped it off with my paper snips, and I took some of the Tombow glue and I used the small tip and I just put little bits of it along the top, and I dipped it in that same Dazzling Diamonds. And I thought, why not just set them on there and let them look really cute by being popped up with a dimensional. So that's what I thought I would show you I could do. So I'm going to put dimensional on the back of here. Let me snip this little edge off. We'll take the backing off. Place him right over. I like having that little bit of the image of the flowers sticking out from the stamp, but it still gives you even more dimension, and you can see how you've even stepped that up a little more with a little dimension here, a little dimension here, and also your pearls. So just to review, we had the plain, which is still adorable. You have this one, and then you have that one. So 3 different looks from basically the same stamp idea, and you can have fun designing everything that you want. Stampin' Up's got some great products, and we're going to move on to part 2, where I'm going to show you a technique, and I'm also going to just go over some show and tell products real quick and explain the ordering process if you're interested in ordering anything from me. So check back to part 2. Thank you.